Hey everybody, it's your hospitality friend Glenn here, and thanks so much for tuning in to the newest episode of ESLA's Icons and Experts, brought to you in conjunction twice a month with our friends over at the Extended Stay Lodging Association. So today we're unlocking modern hotel access control systems with our friend Ed Sullivan, Chief Strategy Officer at EntryReady. So it turns out there's so much more to this topic than you'd ever expect, right? This is actually about guest experience, operational efficiency, and risk management in the digital age. In fact, this is so important. Our friends over at EntryReady are sponsoring this show. Seamless and secure hotel access control systems, EntryReady.com. Check them out, EntryReady.com. So today you're going to learn why access control is the backbone of a modern hotel tech stack, how digital keys and NFC technology are reshaping guest expectations, the critical role of analytics in ensuring security, improving operations, innovative ways to reduce staff workload while enhancing their efficiency, and even some real world horror stories about outdated key systems and why access is a game changing measure, including helping prevent human trafficking. Also, I want to thank our friends over at Delisart Hospitality for sponsoring today's show. That's delisart.com. Delisart.com. They're the leader in third-party management for extended stay hotels, and they got three different areas that they can help you with: full management, remote sales support, or even just remote revenue management services. Be sure to check out delisart.com for more information. Enjoy the show. Hey, everybody, let us welcome Ed Sullivan, Chief Strategy Officer at EntryReady. Man, I want to be ready because, I'll tell you, as a hotel guest, Ed, I feel like I know everything, but my suspicion is I know nothing about entering. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. And we're going to get you ready after this podcast.
Excellent. Well, I am psyched. So I'm thinking, as part of this series, it's all about trying to educate and empower potential extended stay and existing extended stay hotel owners. And this is one of those things that I think we kind of take for granted, right, Ed? I mean, we check into a hotel, we get our little key, it works, but it's kind of like an iceberg. That's just scratching the surface of this story, isn't it, Ed?
Absolutely. I think that the one thing that I want everyone to understand after this, you know, this time together is access control itself. It's not just dumb door locks on a door.
Right.
People, aren't putting much thought into it, but just like the rest of your hotel tech stack, access control is a really important piece. Matter of fact, I argue it's actually the key piece, no pun intended.
Yeah. No, I like that. But that makes a lot of sense because what we're really talking about here is it's not just giving guests access to a room, it's understanding everything goes behind that. There's a lot more data than we realize. And in our modern era, when we have electronic keys as opposed to the ones that we have at home typically, well, that changes the whole game, right?
Absolutely. I right now the statistics and all the powers to be that are doing analysis on the market
Yeah.
say that most keys are going to be digital and by 2027, and that's only 2 years away. It's crazy, but are you as a hotel owner thinking about what it's going to take to get to that point? I don't think I speak to hotel owners every week, and I find myself educating people quite a bit on what's out there and what's available and what is the state of the art and what does the future look like. So I think people don't realize what it's going to take to get to that vision, or at least what
Right.
some of the key analyst firms are talking about.
All right, so let's just break this down so we don't get everybody confused, right? So the first thing is, what is the purpose of having a system like we're talking about today, above and beyond just a typical getting somebody in and out of the room?
Yeah, absolutely. I think breaking it down. I mean,
Yep.
physical security is paramount for a hotel, and
Mhm.
obviously people think it's a door lock, but you got to think of the physical security side, and what is the future of that? And there's been a number of cases, even in the last couple of years, that that is vulnerable when you get into the world of electronics. Any technology, is potentially vulnerable. So thinking about that particular physical security, then you have the actual digital security side as well. When you go to electronics, I mean, if everyone had a brass key, then you have a different story. But we're not going back to the brass keys. So When we do get into electronics, you have to think through what are all the secure methodologies that you have to be thinking about. And that's where, as a hotel owner, the average hotel owner is not a technologist typically. And there's so much to learn. Right.
They're either real estate people or they're operations people. And that's why these shows are so important for us to be able to educate people on all these things that they didn't realize they didn't know. So we're getting into what we could do with digital entry. So one thing I could immediately think of is multiple people could have access at one time, and it's actually recording who's going in and out of that room, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. When we get into that part, and we can dive into that a lot later on in this conversation, but the analytics alone
Right.
is critical. Knowing who's entering and exiting, it has a lot of implications from a guest side, from making sure that the guest property is secure, and that if somebody went in the room, who was it? It has implications to human trafficking and how you can actually indicate when some weird things are going on, or even a party in a room. Hotel owners don't want to be hosting parties necessarily, so how do you see different things there? But then it gets into the real important side, I think, operationally, is we look at, the side of the business that, most hotel owners care about is, how do you also think about your staff side? How do you think about staff access,
Right.
keeping track of things like housekeepers and how long it takes them to go in and out of rooms for cleaning, et cetera. Those all become really important implications when you start thinking, of the system itself.
Right. Yeah. I'll tell you, man, I had a situation once where I was at a hotel and my room key wouldn't work, and only specific master keys would work in that particular case, in that particular scenario. So I'm not saying that to flame the hotel, but I am saying that not all keys are created equal.
No, the evolution of the key is it's actually an interesting part of this whole story. We're looking at, right now in the market, a span of 15 or 20 years worth of technology across all the doors, and that's not including like the old systems where they're still using real keys. But we have such a wide span of technology, from the mag stripes, to RFID locks, and now, Bluetooth, and now the latest, which is NFC.
Yep.
It's mind-boggling and confusing for the average, hotel owner what they're dealing with.
Right. Bluetooth and NFC is what will be enabling our phones. Is that
That's
correct?
correct.
Or-
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bluetooth has been around for, a
Okay.
number of years. NFC is the latest in the capabilities of an average door lock. NFC it's what's required for Apple Wallet, Google Wallet, etc.
Yeah, why would we, want that over other ways? My guess is it's significantly more secure.
It's absolutely more secure. I'll give props to Apple. I mean, we all know Apple's, maniacal about what they're doing.
Yep.
They put the guest, meaning the cell phone owner, above everybody. We've been a partner with Apple for 2 years now, and they're difficult to work with, but they're tried and true on what their mission is, which is to give people, easy access to everything that they need in their life. It's not just hotel doors, but everything. And they're maniacal about the performance and the security of the system.
Listen, I'm no tech expert, but I do know that every time I sit on an airplane, it wants, me to, approve somebody else's Bluetooth headphones. So my guess is that's not as secure as what we're talking about here. So, all right, so planning on opening an extended stay, hotel. What are some of the questions perhaps that I should be asking when it comes to be putting in a system like this?
Well, I think that the real things you need to start doing is, what we look at the extended stay as a particular category.
Mhm.
You know, there are really important operational considerations. Like, you're going to have reduced staff. You're not going to have as many staff members. You're not going to turn over the rooms as often.
Mhm.
All the things that are big that make the extended stay category, a higher profit margin overall. But you have to think of how you're going to operationalize that. And, putting together your plan from an access control perspective is no different than the other technology that you're using. I think the things that come to my mind, most importantly is, you know, after you do your assessment of your needs, looking at what is it that is the technology of the future. So will advocate to everybody using the NFC and the wallet technology. It's the faster experience for guests.
Mhm.
It's built right into the phones. Whether an Android user or an Apple user, it's built into your phones. People are getting used to using that stuff. I would definitely look at that. Wallet technology is a primary consideration. I would look at what technology is going to optimize your staff experience. As we mentioned, you want to have less staff, so you need to think through like what is that experience that the is going to allow you to operate, with less staff and make their life easy because it's hard to hire people nowadays. We all see all the statistics every day about how hard it is to get front desk workers and hotel staffers in general. You need to make sure it plugs in with your PMS system. Absolutely, like first and foremost, you that is a critical function to make it easy to operate the hotel. And then you have to look at how do you continually adapt your systems to for the future technologies. Things like Wi-Fi 6. Like Wi-Fi 6 is going to revolutionize what's called the online lock.
Right.
And having that in your systems is means that you can see everything that's going on at all times. In systems like ours, you can even monitor that remotely when you're on an online lock system, using our cloud functions, which are things to think about as well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, and, especially if you have an extended stay hotel and you're an owner and operator of a portfolio of, hotels or doing something else, you're not going to be on site all
Right.
the time,
Right.
so having that remote access to do absolutely everything, I would say, is another essential element of putting together a good access control program.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you can, sit in your living room or your kitchen and actually operate your hotel, I think that's the dream of most hotel owners. If they're smaller owners, and if you're a management company and you're managing a big portfolio, it's really critical. You have the ability to kind of look at analytics of what's going on in the hotel, what's the conditions of your locks and your batteries. So you're not just throwing batteries away, for an example. It's important to be able to revoke access. It's important to give people access, but it's also important to revoke access. If there's a guest that's doing something bad, can you remove that? If you have a staff member that is being fired, can you remove that? And those are things that you want to, think of when you're operationalizing yourself. And the cloud capabilities makes that all possible.
I like the idea that if, Jim or Judy only works, Tuesday evenings, that whatever key they need that they could keep on them all week only works in the hours that they're scheduled. That's a pretty interesting innovation that I hadn't really heard about before.
That is super important. It all, we get down the root of it. It's access control. How do you manage, who's supposed to be there and who has credentials to do that? And if you have these master keys that are rolling around, like, key cards that are master keys that everyone's passing around,
Mhm.
that is a nightmare, honestly. Who was it that opened the door? And
Right?
we
The
can
key might
get
be
into.
something, but if everyone's passing keys around, you don't know for
Oh, yeah.
sure.
I have a nightmare story someday we can talk offline of a hotel owner that called us, in a desperate situation, but the people were selling the master keys on the streets, and homeless people were coming in and actually using the hotel, and nobody knew this. Nobody knew what was happening. It was crazy.
Wow. That
It's a
is
nightmare. But
that is a nightmare, and it's one of those things, guys, out there that you don't even realize certain things could happen, but there's crazy stories out there about all of this stuff all the time. Dude, you mentioned something, I don't wanna go just, leave that pass by because one of the issues that hotel owners and operators have all the time is thinking about making sure that the locks are always functional, and there's typically a battery in there, but now there's technology out there that could be embedded with everything where it actually tells you if the battery is going low, so you don't have to have any more upset guests, and you don't have to throw out half-used batteries.
it seems like a simple innovation, but that was something we thought of almost right away after listening to customers
Yeah,
because, you think of it as like throwing away money. If you're just changing your batteries every 6 months because you think something's gonna go wrong, you're throwing away,
right.
hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, but it's the whole guest experience too, and it's making sure that the locks are actually online and operational and doing what they're supposed to be doing, and that they're fully charged. So having the ability to have alerts, send tickets to your operations and maintenance systems, and be able to, have them just deal with those particular locks versus everything is a huge operational savings. It takes people from guesswork to, being much more, surgical in the way they operate.
Yeah, and I really think that that's kind of like the theme of this story today is whenever you're taught thinking about putting in systems, how are they really going to help you with that ROI in the long term? And by having all of this access to data, being able to have heightened control over absolutely every element of the access experience, plus combine that with it actually, telling you how to save real money as it goes, that's great. And don't even get me, started about, like, you could all be doing it from, your living room.
Yeah, absolutely. When we look at it kind of from 3 different orbits.
Mhm.
So, number 1 is guest experience, just making sure that that guest is getting what they need. And look at all the stats, you can read
Yep.
them all day long. Like 81% of the people want digital technologies in their hotel room and
Mhm.
digital access, et cetera. Then we look at the ROI side, and then we look at the risk side. So when we look at those, when we as an access control company think through those orbits, the guest, saving money or operating your hotel better, and then risk management and be able to mitigate risk. Those are the things that if you're an owner, you need to educate yourself on and kind of
Right.
think through those particular elements.
Yeah, that risk management part. I mean, just think about that. If a guest says something occurred and you have proof right there that the keys don't match up, and no, housekeeping did not enter the room in 3 days. So there's no issue. Think about the amount of time, emotional anxiety, and lawyer fees they one every day
Absolutely.
as well. So, everything in your business, everybody, when you're thinking about this, it's about those tangible costs and also some of those intangible ones. So, my guess, Ed, is you also try to tell people a little bit about all of these things that could happen that you're really eliminating at the start, as opposed to having to go and clean up afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially when you get into the risk side, I mean, you get slapped with a lawsuit for human trafficking, it's millions of dollars. So, then everything is out of the ballpark in terms of,
Yep.
costs and, how much did it cost to install a system? It's a pennies on the dollar at that point. But you need to think through all your different elements. The staff side is really important. Our staff, have access to only where they need to be, and are they can you actually, prove that, somebody wasn't in the room? That saves you tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's not just throwing a dumb lock on a door anymore. This is a real critical part of your business, and you need to think through those orbits that I kind of discussed, or, a little bit ago.
Excellent. Ed, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. That was really awesome.
Yeah, thank you. We're going to do a lot with the ESLA in terms of creating, working with the team to create, materials and checklists and things to be thinking about. So there's a lot more to come on this subject, and it's a pleasure to be here. I really appreciate it.
Great. And I want to thank all of you for being here today. Remember, everything is not as it seems. You think it's as simple as just unlocking a door, but it's so much more complex with that. After all, we are in the information age, and a lot of technology out there is going to give you the insights in order to save money, be smarter in business, and protect yourself. Be sure you find this show and all of our others at novacancynews.com and also at the ESLA website, esla.org. That's ESLA.org. Visit our friends over at EntryReady. They are nice enough to share this information. Please check them out. I'm Glenn Hausman. That was Ed Sullivan, and we'll see you next time.